Hi, everyone. I hope you are all keeping well. I'd like to interview my dear friend Paul today. And Paul and I met about 10 years ago. We did our pilot training together. And during that pilot training, we also discovered we have similar interests, such as being interested in law of attraction and manifesting and meditation. So, ever since that, we became really great friends and always have so much to talk about. And I'd like to invite Paul today to this call because I consider Paul quite a great manifester. And I have been a witness of so many fantastic manifestations over the years he brought into his life. So, hi, Paul. Nice to see
Hello,
you.
Diana. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, you look lovely.
Oh, thank you. So, I've got some questions ready for you. So if we just
Okay,
crack on with these questions and then we'll see where the conversation leads us after that. Does that sound good?
it's fine. Yes.
Lovely. So, as we know, our thoughts are really powerful, but most importantly, the feelings we put underneath these thoughts, they create our reality. So, when was the first time you actually discovered that your thoughts are powerful and they actually create your reality?
Well, that was about in 2005. I I started. I'm not really religious. I believe there's a God, and so I had no prior ideas of anything really. I was kind of free-minded. But in 2005, I started seeing things I was thinking about. I'd think about something. I remember the very first time I, I, I saw a bicycle with a big saddle, and I thought the bicycle looked really ugly because the saddle was too big. And
Mhm.
the following day, my saddle on my bicycle got stolen, and I thought that was just a coincidence. Well, um, but things kept happening like that. Some of them are quite dramatic. I mean, they were happening every few days, and I told my friends and family, and they were saying, "Oh, it's just a coincidence. These things are just coincidences." But they weren't listening to me because they were obviously not coincidences. And I went. I, I, I mean, some of the things were really dramatic. I mean, I remember seeing a James Bond film from the 1960s where they picked in the film there was the coat of arms building in Queen Victoria Street, I think it is. And I thought, wow, that building hasn't changed in about 50 years. I've cycled past it every day from work. So I thought I'd draw a picture from the screen. I froze the picture screen. And the following day, I took my drawing to this building and looked to see if it changed in like about 50 years or something like that. And it hadn't really changed. It flagged outside and the coat of arms on the crest on the building. And exactly 24 hours after that, the building caught fire and was severely damaged. It's on the news. I think they had about 15 fire extinguisher engines.
Mhm.
So these things kept happening. And I thought, well, at one stage, it got to the stage because some bizarre things happened that I thought people must be listening to my thoughts and making them happen because they're just too crazy to be coincidences. And then I discovered online a book called by Abraham Hicks about your thoughts being powerful and creative.
Mhm.
And I came across this book by accident online, and I actually thought, well, that would explain what's happening. So I bought the book, and I decided to experiment with my thoughts. Instead of thinking about something accidentally and then seeing it in a day, I thought I'd deliberately think about something, to see if I'm deluding myself. People saying these things are coincidences, but they weren't really listening to me. They were just,
Mhm.
that was an answer for them. It wasn't an answer for me. So what I decided to do was um, every day for 2 weeks, I just focused on something I wanted to see, and I just randomly chose something: a white horse pulling a cart across Blackfriars Bridge. And then I did that for started my stopwatch, thought about nothing else for 2 minutes, and then 2 weeks later, or 2 weeks after I stopped doing it, I saw a white horse pulling a cart across Blackfriars Bridge, exactly the point of the bridge where I imagined in my imagination it would be. And I was so amazed by this, I thought, that night I thought I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do a balloon above a bridge, the same bridge, Blackfriars Bridge. And I only did this for a couple of minutes one day. The following day I went home. I watched something on television called The Professionals, and they're discussing the size of a balloon above a bridge. And these things kept happening. I could easily prove the law of attraction worked for myself. It was so obvious. So your thoughts are powerful. There's no doubt about it, and they're creative. And so I thought, okay, this is good, but what's the point of it? I should bring money into my life. So, I read more of Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction, and I realised you're going to raise your vibration. So you're tuning in. I think the way I explain it, we live in a multiverse, and that's a prevailing theory in quantum physics. We live in a multiverse, and I believe the law of attraction. You actually bring in one version to you over the other versions. So you need to raise your vibration, like your frequency. You're tuning into a frequency. So this is the way Esther Hicks describes it. And so I thought about, I think my most successful use of the law of attraction, when I was meditating, I imagined a gold bar split up a slice like bread. And the slices being sent to me in envelopes. Well, obviously that's not going to happen. But I thought a positive thought would bring something good in my life, perhaps. And about 4 months later, I had a load of checks in my letterbox, or letters saying I could get money, about 7, I think, in one day.
Wow.
From an unexpected source, from the PPI, payment protection insurance. I got altogether I got £30,000 back.
That's amazing.
And that was completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So, and other times I use the law of attraction many times in my life. Like I wanted to learn to fly an aeroplane, but I didn't have the money. So I used the law of attraction to imagine I was actually already a pilot flying the plane, touching the controls. I visualize all these things. And like a year later, I got the money to start flying lessons from a completely different, unexpected source. So I've used the law of attraction in many ways. I'm still using it now. In fact, if I'm not focusing deliberately on something, I usually see something on the streets I've just been thinking about. It's unbelievable. It's clearly, to me, we are attracting one version over the other all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. That just clearly shows that what you focus on always expands, what you give your energy to. If you really believe in something and that you put feeling underneath that thought, that feeling will start reaching some other versions of this reality, different timelines, and you basically step into that timeline to create that version of reality for yourself. And it's incredible that you have all these amazing examples, and I like to talk more about them as well. But can you tell me, what is your favorite manifestation? What is your favorite thing that you ever manifested?
Well, they were the two favorite ones.
Oh, they were lovely.
Yeah, because they were both. They were both. One, because I got a lot of money coming to me from just imagining gold bars sliced up, and then with the flying lessons, of course, it was a passion. I wanted to fly, and of course, it's very expensive. It's about £20,000 for me to get my license. That's just to get your license before you fly solo.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I didn't really have any way of getting that money without using the law of attraction. So I just imagined. There are other things as well. I've imagined. I use a law of attraction. I wanted to go to Dubai and stay in the Palm Atlantis, and I wanted to fly an Emirates Airbus A380. So I imagined all this. But on the day, the aircraft was a 777. So I thought, okay, that's close enough. But that morning, or the night before, there was an equipment change, and they changed it to the Airbus A380. So I got to fly on the Airbus A380 for the first time in my life.
Manifested flying on the A380.
Yeah. But there's also a kind of problem to the law of attraction, is that because your thoughts are so powerful, there's always a feeling of disappointment that you don't have the self-discipline or the consciousness as you go through your day to actually focus only on positive things, and you get distracted by the media, the news,
That's right. Yeah.
negative things. So it seems that everything is a frequency. The world around you is just a frequency of
Exactly.
different dimensions, and you're attracting one over the other. So, I don't suppose you can rule out bad things happening at all in your life unless you think perfectly and purely. And
Mm.
I certainly believe 100% of the law of attraction. I want to use it every day. So it does take a lot of self-control, focus. Um, I find the law of attraction is better when you meditate and you silence your mind. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you can't silence your mind, just focus on imagine something nice. So definitely our thoughts are very powerful. And there's a lot of quantum physicists who believe our thoughts are powerful
Mm.
and then believe in the law of attraction. And there's a famous scientific experiment called the double slit experiment. That's a miracle in itself. It's far more amazing than, it's far more miraculous than anybody talking about the law of attraction. And that's a scientific experiment that can be repeated over and over again.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um,
So, what do you think people can do to actually start manifesting, start bringing things into their life? My favorite thing, what I always tell my students and clients, is to use visualization, because that's one of the most powerful thing how to manifest things, because you basically in your visualization you can go anywhere, you can do anything, you can, as you say, you can fly an aeroplane, and you can feel that you're touching the controls and you're really going through the air, and you feel the feelings of already feeling what it's going to feel like when it's manifested. So I recommend visualization. So what would you recommend to people?
um, there's, well, one thing that worked for me when I was actually reading the book on the law of attraction by Esther Hicks, one of her books, and in it she said the best way to create quickly is to clear your mind of thoughts and see the image of clearly in your imagination what you want to visualize. And I actually had this feeling of belief. I was actually at work at the time, but I had the television on in the corner. Well, I didn't have the television on; it was off at the time, but there was a television in the corner and of the room I was in. And this was on a night shift. And I actually thought during my break, and I actually thought this must this must work. If normally I bring things into my life through thought, but it's kind of a cluttered thought. It's not a pure focus. So I actually thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine an orange cut in half. And when I turn on the television, I'm going to see an orange cut in half. So what I did first of all, for just about 20 seconds, I imagined an orange cut in half. This is an experimentation for me, because I wanted to see if pure focus on a clear image would work. And I only did this for about maybe 20 seconds or something, not very long. I can't remember, it's so long ago. Maybe I did it for a minute, but it wasn't very long. But I imagined the orange cut in half. Well, I had a feeling of belief about this was going to work. And it's the only time in my life I've really had a feeling of belief about something, because normally I expect something to work with the law of attraction, but I didn't have I believe in talking to you, but I don't have a feeling of belief about it, But I had a feeling of belief that this was going to work. And I switched on television, and there was an orange cut in half on an orange juice advert. And so that was actually one of my most successful creations for the law of attraction, even though it didn't actually bring me any wealth or anything, but it just shows that belief plays a part as well. If you disbelieve, it's going to affect the creation. But also there's a problem in the law of attraction as well. If you actually want something desperately, like money, then it's not going to come to you, because it's like a playful, it destroys the energy. The kind of desperation destroys it.
Yeah.
It's going to be playful, carefree energy. Like with the gold bars sliced up, there's no way I expected gold bars to be sliced up and sent to me. So I was kind of detached from the outcome. So that's the way to. The problem is if you focus on money and imagine money, in a way, it's probably not going to work very well. You need to focus on something that's detached a little bit,
Something you
like
have not so much,
gold bars.
yeah, something you have not so much attachment to. So
Yeah.
it's basically for people to start, what you're saying is to start with these small things that you don't have attachment to, like, visualize, somebody's going to be in the coffee shop wearing a particular outfit. Last week, actually, I just thought I'm going to play a little bit with the law of attraction, as I always do. And I visualized that I'm going to see a tennis ball just,
Okay.
just randomly throughout my day. And then later I was watching a film with my boyfriend, and of course there was somebody playing a tennis and there was a zoom in on the
Yeah.
tennis ball. So that was, another proof that the law of attraction clearly works. What you focus on always expands. But like you saying, you can't really have so much attachment to these things. You have to really kind of believe that you are going to be seeing it, but
Yeah.
don't feel that, oh, I must see it now, because you're basically just pushing the manifestation away.
Yeah. That's right. So, yeah, I mean, like you, I see examples almost every day of something I've been thinking about. I'm pretty sure everything, nearly everything in life, perhaps everything we create at some level. Um, so, but it's not just your thoughts; it's your emotions as well. You know,
Absolutely.
so the power. So, if you think about money, or if you think about cold bars coming to you, you need to raise your vibration, how you feel. You need to have a
Mm.
certain amount of belief, expectation. You need to raise. But for example, one example for me was I was on. I just come back off holiday uh, many years ago from Innsbruck, and I was staying at the Renaissance Hotel in London Heathrow, looking over the runway. It's got a view looking over the runway, and I thought, well, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling wealthy. I should actually. I bought £1 million scratch card, and I scratched a scratch card. I think of £1 million. I didn't win anything on the scratch card, but then I had to go out to leave the hotel room, and the hotel room wasn't on my pass; it was just an ordinary pass. So I thought, how am I going to remember the number? Because it's a long corridor. So I remembered, even now, years later, I can remember the number of the door, 2189.
Mm-hmm.
So 21 is an expression key to the door, 21, when you reach the age of 21. So I thought 21, easy to remember. All I had to remember was 89. So I went out to I was just thinking the number 89. I went out to look at the planes landing at Heathrow, came back, found my hotel room, called a taxi to come home, and we were in it. The taxi driver we got stuck in traffic, and in front of us there was an old silver shadow Rolls Royce from the 1970s. And I turned to the driver to say, "You don't see many of those." And as I turned to the driver, in the opposite carriage lane, right next to us, also in the traffic jam, was exactly the same car. I thought, wow. Then I got home, I switched on the internet, and I found out I won 89 on an email. I'd won £89 in the lottery. And at the time, I forgot about 89. I thought, hang on, I haven't been thinking about the number 89. And then I realised I had been. So
Exactly. Yeah.
there are loads and loads. And now I think about things deliberately, you know. So I try to keep on a positive wavelength, so focus.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
deliberately create what you really
yeah.
desire in your life. Absolutely.
Also, I got rid of anger in my life because before the law of attraction, I used to get angry about things. Then I realised that anger was creating bad things in my life. So I stopped being angry and I blamed myself for everything that would happen.
Mm.
So even if it appeared to be the other person's fault, I'd kind of say, well, I must have brought this into my life. And because of that, I stopped being angry with other people. So it's kind of, empowering that you feel powerful. That yeah, so that's you get your power back. You don't
Definitely.
blame people, you
Definitely.
blame. Yeah,
They call it kind of a mental diet. Like, you have to be really careful what you think about, where you put your energy to. So when you're on
absolutely.
the mental diet, you basically becoming aware of your negative thoughts and how they shape your reality as well, and the feelings you're putting underneath them. All right, so we are talking about law of attraction. We are talking about manifesting, how powerful our thoughts, but most importantly, our feelings are, the feelings we put underneath our thoughts. And like I said earlier, I consider my friend Paul quite a good manifester. So we are just having a quick chat with him, and he's telling us about his manifestation examples, how he manifested money into his life. He's pilot training into his life, and so many amazing things. But where we actually finished, Paul, it was to basically tell people how important is to start small, is to start manifesting things that you don't have attachment to. Like when you said you saw that orange that has been cut to half on the television, or when I said, start with something that somebody will be wearing some particular outfit on the street, or you will see a particular flower, or you will see a butterfly. So these little things are just a proof that the law of attraction actually works, and your thoughts and the feelings you put underneath these thoughts create your reality. So what do you do daily to actually manifest things into your life? What are your daily,
Yeah.
non-negotiables? Like maybe you meditate, or you visualize on a daily basis what you are currently manifesting in your life. Do you have rituals
Um,
like that?
well, what I do is several things. With the media, we start because it can really kick you out of your stride,
Oh,
uh,
definitely.
knock you off your stride or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, if I see something horrible in the media, I would just I would just kind of not look at it. I won't go there. So I'm quite interested in politics. Because it's entertaining. But if it's something really awful, I just don't think about it, or I don't even acknowledge it. And because I think actually there's a lower vibration that's trying to influence our thoughts and emotions, realizing how powerful we are. So, um, so what I do as well is meditate. Um, I'm not always successful at meditations. Sometimes I find it difficult to
Mm.
calm my mind, stop your thoughts. Uh, Sometimes you feel like you're just lying there, and other times you go into a deep meditative state where I get all sorts of sensations. I can see images in my head, like random images of things. I have a click in my head. I believe that's a pineal gland opening in the center of your head, like a window to the spiritual dimensions. I feel bliss sometimes if I'm successful. Even if what I try to do every day is silence my thoughts, even just for a minute. And sometimes, if I'm successful, I get a feeling of bliss come to me, and it's only fleeting. Um, I also try to keep in charge of my emotions. I don't get angry, or So um, they're the things I normally do. Try to focus on. Sometimes I just experiment with my thoughts. I try to think of something and try to. Because what happens normally, most days, I see something I've been thinking about, something that reminds me I should be thinking about something more positive. Um, so they're the things I normally do. Meditation is great anyway. If you've got problems and you just lie on your bed, I've actually preferred to lie on my bed. Some people prefer to sit in a chair, or some people sit on the floor. But
Yeah,
for me,
whatever.
lying,
Mm,
and you actually, if you do have problems, and meditation is sometimes the only way you can stop thinking about the problem.
absolutely.
Once you stop thinking about the problem, it seems to fade immediately. So they're the things I use with law of attraction: meditation, absolute silence, positive focus, even with an imagination. Because there's a famous quote, I can't remember who said it now, uh, that imagination is your only weapon against reality.
Mm-hmm. That's
Imagination is
so
very
true.
powerful.
Yeah, I don't remember who said that, but I actually, quite a few weeks ago, I shared it with my community on social media. I remember it's really, really powerful quote. And that is so true, because in your imagination, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, and you can start reaching for some higher frequencies, which will bring your dreams to life as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, that's how I use the law of attraction with my pilot, becoming a pilot. My flying lessons, I was using my imagination as well, touching the controls, believing I already had the money to fly. Thinking that, I got the feelings that I had in my meditation that I had when I was actually flying. So it was successful. So you're obviously raising your vibration. I mean, positive thought must be good for you. Even if people don't believe in the law of attraction, positive thinking must be good for you. Meditation must be good for you.
absolutely.
Stopping your thoughts must be good for you, because otherwise we're like a machine that's going on in our head, thought after thought after thought.
And especially now in this digital age as well, everything seems to be speeding up. So you feel like you're constantly catching up with something new as well. And
Yeah,
we have emails, we have all these
yeah,
devices, social media, and, it's just so much going on at the same time. And we just need to register all of that. So our mind sometimes feels it's going to explode. So we
yeah,
need to really find these moments for tuning in, for getting still in
yeah,
that present moment, which meditation allows us to be in. And
yeah.
yeah, these are really, really great tips, actually.
Again, with the law of attraction, absolutely. Again, with the law of attraction, you could, a lot of it's imagination. You can imagine, if you want to be wealthy, imagine you're already wealthy, and just pretend, even for 10 minutes, just imagine that you're suddenly got millions of pounds, and what car you're going to buy,
Yeah.
where you're going to live. Just kind of fool yourself into thinking you're a millionaire for 10 minutes, and what you're going to do, where you're going to go on holiday. And then there's a very good chance with the law of attraction, because you've raised your vibration and you've also been thinking about money, you'll find some money. I don't suppose you're going to find £1 million, but you're putting out to the shop later on in the day or the following day and find £5 note.
Yeah, because with that visualization, you
Yeah,
basically put out some you put out a different frequency, and behind the scenes all these things are rearranging for you. So you start finding money, and somebody you will see maybe on the television,
that's right.
some money, or somebody's paying someone, and because everything is kind of rearranging behind the scenes for you, and you will start noticing these things.
Yeah. Also, I believe that because I've had so many experiences with law of attraction, I've had to kind of try to find out how it works or what's actually happening. For example, I've often felt wealthy and then looked down on the floor and there's money. There's been £5 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does that happen? Like, does the universe know what you're going to think before you think it? But I think what's happening is we live in a multiverse, which is the prevailing theory in quantum physics, and our knowing that solid objects exist. It's all electrons and atoms, which is 99.9% empty space. So we're really frequencies of energy, and if we can raise our frequency, we tune into a light frequency and attracts the same thing that so a higher frequency or wealthy frequency should bring us wealth.
Absolutely.
And you should see evidence of that. So I think we're actually just tuning in a radio to a higher frequency, a better frequency.
Definitely.
From the multiverse, we're attracting a light frequency. So that's definitely through imagination, partly through belief. I don't think it will work if you have disbelief.
Yeah.
I think you mustn't have disbelief. You must have belief, and also you mustn't be desperate. Law of attraction is it's got to be playful. You mustn't really think about something and expect to see the thing the next day. You've got to forget about it. It's got to be a playful energy.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at quantum science, quantum physics, I mean, it's amazing with the Slit experiment.
Yeah.
Everything you know about this double slit experiment, you put a camera and you're firing electrons on a screen through two slits, and the pattern it makes on the screen, the electrons make on the screen, the photosynthetic screen behind on the other side of the two slits, you've got a gun or projector firing electrons through two slits of a board. Beyond that, you've got a screen, and whatever pattern it makes depends on whether or not you've got a camera switched on or switched off, looking at it, which is showing that observation makes a difference to everything we see, considering everything is made of atoms and electrons. Then simply looking at something changes something. I mean, that's a sign, the double slit experiment.
Yeah, that was actually mentioned in the Down the Rabbit Hole, wasn't it?
Yeah, Down the Rabbit Hole, that's brilliant.
There, so I highly recommend that to people. Down the Rabbit Hole, it's a great documentary or film, let's say. It really, really explains how it works, basically, in this reality.
That was a DVD, wasn't it? I think, Down the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, and I remember you lent me the DVD and I watched it.
That was brilliant.
I think you can find it on YouTube as well these days.
Yeah, so you can definitely.
Yeah, it's a really, really powerful film.
Yeah, anybody who's watching this, they ought to YouTube the double slit experiment because it's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing.
But it's actually more spooky than anything we're talking about. Yeah. With our thoughts, emotions. If you think, well, some people don't believe it, and well, the double slit experiment is a scientific experiment.
And it's
amazing.
It really shows.
Yeah. In fact, I was watching a program about it last night, where they put a camera. It changed the experiment, and if they unplug the camera, just by unplugging the camera, the electrons on the screen behind the projector kind of make a completely different pattern. They go back to the same normal pattern. The camera's got nothing to do with the experiment. It's just recording the experiment. So how can that? It's amazing. And
lots of people actually who are starting to get interested in law of attraction and manifesting. Some people are spiritual, some people are more scientific. So when they see there is actually a scientific proof for something like this, they will become believers because some people really need that proof, and they will see like actually it really works, and it's incredible. The way I just want to add to this, the way I see it as well, I feel, because I always talk about the soul concept. We are a powerful souls, and that's the reason we have so much power and so much wisdom within us to create the world that we desire. And as powerful souls, we are multidimensional, and there are different versions of ourselves. And I always feel that when you think of something, it is already created, and it's created in some kind of timeline. So if you really want something and you had that thought, like, I want to create this, I want to have a particular house or something, it already exists because you've thought of that, but it exists in a different timeline, and you need to raise your frequency enough to reach that timeline so it matches your three-dimensional reality, because there are so many realities, so many timelines, so many other frequencies, parallel worlds, and we are just not experiencing them. But you can raise your frequency enough to actually end up on that timeline so you can experience that reality. So just by thinking about something, because it came to your mind, it already exists. To me, that's a proof it already exists. All you have to do is just to raise your frequency enough to actually see that, so you can bring it to your 3D as well. So that's the way I see it. And that's how I brought and manifested so many incredible things into my life.
Absolutely. I mean, that's another way of thinking it, a timeline instead of a dimension. But you're right, it's these things are already there. But you're not really creating them, you're actually bringing them into your life. It's like a lottery.
Tuning into them, basically. You're just tuning in.
Right. Tuning in.
Yeah, tuning in and vibrating on that frequency, which will soon show in your three-dimensional reality. Because what we talked about before as well, we are like this radio. You set the frequency on Classic FM, and you expect that radio station to play, and then you set a frequency for I don't know, Radio 1, you change the frequency and you expect that station to play, but you cannot expect Classic FM to play when you set on the Radio 1 frequency. So you need to change the frequency, and it's about us is the same way. I need to just basically shift our perceptions, change our frequency so it matches the reality we want to see. But this has a lot to do with our subconscious mind as well, because the reality we see, it's basically a projection of our subconscious mind. So once you convince your subconscious mind, it has no other way, it's just showing up in your 3D reality.
Absolutely, that's right.
You have to fully believe it to actually see it.
It's absolutely. If you buy a scratch card, well, you know, I've heard people say, well, what's the point of everybody trying to win the lottery? Only one person can win the lottery, but that's not true. In a multiverse or different timelines, we all win the lottery an infinite amount of times. In fact, that's again quantum physics. But so, in other words, if you buy a scratch card, you have actually won the £1 million, depending on how you're vibrating, not depending on whether or not you're lucky enough to hold the winning card. Depending on your belief, your expectation, your vibration. I think if you're really expert at using the law of attraction, you could probably win £1 million with every win it top prize with every scratch card you bought.
Absolutely.
You could even change, look out your window, look at the traffic, and decide what colour car. If you were really, nobody's that good at using the law of attraction, but you know, if you're really, you know, somebody perfect, you could think perfectly and feel perfectly and control your emotions and thoughts and have perfect belief. I think you could have power over everything. And certainly, if you're holding a scratch card, you know, we live in the multiverse with every possibility happening. You must be holding the winning card, and also you must be holding the losing card at the same time. I mean, the Down the Rabbit Hole explains this perfectly.
Yeah, that's actually a brilliant film.
They show a man with a child bouncing a ball behind him, and the ball. You know, you imagine the ball can only be bounced in one particular place if you turn your head. It can only be in one, but they show it's everywhere. According to quantum physics, it's everywhere. The ball's everywhere. So when you turn around, look at the ball, where the boy is bouncing the ball at that particular moment, your consciousness controls what you're actually seeing, where that ball is. So, you know,
and the programming as well, isn't it? Because we have been programmed certain ways, so you expect to see certain things. So you know, when you really believe something, you begin to see an evidence of that right in front of you, because you believe it subconsciously so much as well.
Yeah.
So you need to, when you want to really create something, guys, you need to basically convince yourself like, this is what's going to come into my life, or it is actually in my life. You have to feel it now. So convince yourself that it is already here. Believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it 100%, and don't second guess. Don't say like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Just trust and know. Trust and know it's going to show up.
Yeah.
And you know, that leads us to another thing about time. Time and space is just illusion of our consciousness as well. Time doesn't exist. So everything is happening now. But, you know, to convince our human mind of that fact, you know, which I believe it's a fact, is practically, you know, it's not really easy. But time doesn't exist.
I think time is just an illusion as well. I mean, time, well, you see with my premonitions, I don't want to talk about them because some of them are pretty grim, but yeah.
That's for another video, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can actually see that there's something strange with time in my premonitions. So I actually believe all time is happening now. Everything is happening now. And in fact, that's the only way you can explain, you know, the dreams I've had, I've told you about. So, and it's like the little man, the booklet with the little matchstick man walking through the pages. To him, you know, he's actually walking. It looks like he's walking, but each of those images is actually written down at the same time. So, you know, so I think time is an illusion, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. That's what I think Einstein said, that time and space are just illusions of our consciousness.
Yeah. So, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today. It was so lovely chatting with you, and really hope, you know, you can all start manifesting and using law of attraction to your advantage, because we're using it all the time, whether we believe it or not. So use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Some of the people watching this may already be thinking, hang on, I keep having these coincidences. So for them, they will suddenly realize, like I did when I discovered the little book, the by Esther Hicks, what's it called? What's it called? I can't remember what it's called now. The power, Asking It Is Given, that's the title
Yes,
of the book.
that's right. Yeah,
So that answered so many questions. Why was I seeing the things I was thinking about?
absolutely.
So people are only going to experiment for a couple of minutes a day, and then they should see what they're thinking about.
100%, 100%. And another book, if I can recommend, I've got the book here actually, is The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And that really explains it. Your subconscious mind is extremely powerful, and it's been written many, many years ago, but it's a profound reading. It's really, really helpful. So thank you so much, Paul, for being here today. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again very soon. And for all of you watching, if you have any comments, questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll leave all the details below this video, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Bye, Paul.
Bye. Bye.